Hey, you there. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Forge Forever. Today I have a 5v5 custom match here on the most amazing Neuroxis map generator. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players, starting off with Team 1 in the west, ending with Team 2 in the east. Starting off with Team 1's northern player, then working our way southward, we have in Ruby Red, the northwest section of the map, it is Pony Awaka. I think that's how you say his name. He is a UEF for this match as a 1400. In Barbie Pink to his south, we have Psycho Ed. He is a Seraphim. He is a 1700. And the other pink player for Team 1, we have in lightest red pink, Useless Goddess. It's a very interesting name. He is a Cybern for this match as a 900. To the south, in Pac-Man Yellow is Lil Sid Little. He is a UEF as a 2300. He is the highest rated player on Team 1 and in the game overall. And last but not least for Team 1 in Royal Blue is Scorpion 75 as another UEF here. He is an 1100. So for Team 1 side of the map, they have 3 UEF, 1 Cybern, 1 Seraphim. So no Aeons for Team 1. Starting off with Team 2 Southern player, then going north this time, we have in Emerald Green XXX-AFK-XXX, or of course AFK for short. He is a Seraphim as a 1400. In Snow White is the 1600 rated player of Furfur. He's playing as an Aeon for this match. In Light Oak Tan to his north is the Cybern of Insectoid. He is an 800. And in Imperial Grey to his north is the commander of Yoji. He's playing as a UEF for this match as a 2000 rated player. He is the highest rated player on Team 2. And last but not least, another UEF for Team 2 in Amethyst Purple is Broken Princess. So we have a Broken Princess on Team 1, on Team 2, and we have a Useless Goddess on Team 1. He is a 1500 again for this match as a UEF. So for Team 2 side of the map, they have one of each of the factions with 2 UEFs. So out of the 10 players in this game, there are 5 UEF, which means I expect to see a ton of those fat boys running around the map, causing some chaos. And for these 10 players on the map, let's take a look how much reclaim they have for this scoop up. Currently sitting at, drumroll please, 22,000 mass in reclaim, which means it's 2.2k mass per player. And the mech situation here for this map is very interesting because bar just a couple of groupings of mechs points, we have a try, and a try here. So 3 try mexes. They're very spread out. I mean, you can kind of, even considering, that's a really wide quad mix position. Compared to the Trimex position right next door, there's gonna be a lot of one-offs and actually a very decent amount of mixes essentially dotted around this kind of snaky middle of the map. So players are going to be rushing to the middle to grab those very quickly. There's kind of really nothing going on here in the northeast or southwestern corner, so I don't expect really much of anything to happen over there. Maybe somebody hides their comm down there, but there is no water on this map. So there's no hiding underneath the surface of the water to avoid detection or whatever. So players are going to be able to be spotted at all times. Let's take a look at where our players are headed off to. It looks like it's going to be possibly a 2v1 in the north. I know it's kind of just really no defined lanes. The middle of the map, it's very much just dotted with all of these one-off mountain, hill, whatever the things are called. So there's really no discernible, north, mid, south kind of lanes as we see in a lot of games. It's just kind of everywhere. So there's going to be lots of chaos, very fluid in terms of moving units across the map. It's kind of easy to just actually get units from the northwest to the southeast. Relatively almost a straight line, bar a couple of turns and not necessarily twists, but kind of just leaning left or right. In the south, looks like it's shaping up to be the same thing here. 2 comms for Team 2 this time and 1 comm for Team 1. And we do see that Insectoid is sitting here in the kind of southern side of the middle. It's looking like to be Team 2's Yoji versus Team 1's Useless Goddess. So I will point out that is the lowest player on Team 1 going up against the highest rated player on Team 2. So we are kind of having these really weird matchups where the lowest rated player is going up against the highest rated player, which will definitely kind of give things a little bit more flavor, because now if these players really want to have an impact in this game, Yoji is gonna most likely crush, let's say example, Useless Goddess as an example. If it happens, wouldn't be surprised if it gets flipped the other way, because games can do that from time to time. but maybe we have Little come and join the fight against Yoji, so it ends up being more like a 2v2 instead of a 1v1 versus a 1v1 kind of affair. But it is something to be watching out for, because that could be an easy flank to exploit, flank actually being in the middle of the lineup for Team 1 and Team 2. Just something to watch out as the game progresses. Gun speed has been done here for Furfur, and gun range on the way here for Furfur as well. T2 coming on the way for Psychoad in the north. So he's going to be more defensive, and I wouldn't be surprised to see... Actually, no, Pony has gone for an engineering drone on board his shoulder. I wouldn't be surprised to see him maybe go for another one, but sometimes players that build them just kind of send them out into the wilderness and scoop up all the mass that they can. T2 coming on the way here for Yoji. So he's being a little bit more defensive than I thought he would be. Lots of naming schemes here for Useless Goddess, Happy Time, Happy Total Tuna, Happy Palamo. A bunch of different names around the map. So just Happy and then whatever other name. Black Crow coming in as well. That upgrade will finish very, very quickly, and it looks like Yoji might just batten down the hatches for now. But Team 1's Little has not left his main base, surprisingly enough. It looks like he's the only player in the game to do that. Very interesting, which means Insectoid is kind of going up against nobody. I mean, he's going up against the units from Little, but not necessarily the comm itself. We are starting to see a little bit of pushback here from Team 2, getting into Team 1's side of the map. The northern side of things kind of shaping up that way, but it looks like it's happening a little bit slower than the south. Again, it's very fluid in the middle of the map. It's kind of hard to tell. Very not great in terms of positioning here for Useless Goddess, kind of in the middle of nowhere with no support. We have 2 comms from Team 2 sandwiching them. Has to be very careful how they proceed. They are going to go after Yoji. He's getting a T1 PD emplacement online. This might not be a great decision. One is already online, a second one already half done. This looks like Useless Goddess is going to walk into her death, possibly. Another T1 PD going to be built. This one isn't in range, but these two are, and that Triad as well. Already drops into the yellow. Has to be very, very careful to not be blitzed down. Left drone done here, starting right drone for Little. Gun has been started here for Broken Princess in the north. Insectoid going for his own gun as well. In the south, we have Scorpion being blitzed down by Furfur's gun speed / range commander upgrades. And wall sections established to provide a little bit more, essentially, boxing in of Team 1's forces. In the middle, it looks like Yoji has broken through the front lines against Useless Goddess and has been able to deal with a couple of these newly minted Mantis on the field. Didn't grab the radar, unfortunately, but is going after mexes now. That's probably a little bit more worth it. There are T2 mexes in this base, and they are starting to ring, but looks like T1 PD is going to be built, and those Mantis will be shooed away quite quickly. Yoji establishing a nice little forward operating position, and now has a missile launcher online, so very dangerous to have that essentially in the middle of the map with an ability to operate essentially in the whole base of Team 1 Psychoad and most of Useless Goddess's base. A couple mexes for Little are vulnerable, but nothing really too threatening. Oh, actually, he's actually in range of that, but he can't be spotted because he just hasn't been seen yet. T2 is already done here for air. He's going for T3 as of yet. Missile is outbound, and it is going for Psychoad's base. We do see Goddess has fallen back to, again, assist with defense, but Team 2 has a great position in the middle of the map here so far, and Insectoid trying to do essentially the exact same thing. But there is a nice little T1, T2 PD emplacement starting to be built. Insectoid does have gun, so these Triads won't be enough to stop him. He's not going to feel good after this little engagement, but he should be fine. He's going to stay probably in the high yellows. He does have a lot of T1 forces backing him. There are some T1 forces coming in from the edges, but I don't really think that's going to stop him. He has dropped actually below 50% of his hit points. He's about to get to 1-star veterancy, though. The rest of those units will come in and wipe out the rest of that base, but he took a lot of probably unnecessary damage there. Again, another situation where they just have to be really careful how far forward they go and how long they stay there, because that comm only reps up at 18 hit points a second, so a little bit faster than some, but still, he's not going to rep up super quickly. He does have a veterancy, though, and now he's at 24 hit points instead of 18. Mongeese trying to be deployed here in the north here for Pony. And they are good, of course, against clumps of units, but T1 strikers are kind of just trying to avoid every shot as possible. Not super effective. I would love to see maybe some Riptides instead. That might be a little bit better of a choice, but Mongeese are a good option, especially if you can keep them at range, but if you can't, the hit points on board just don't match up. Couple of Obsidians down here providing some distraction for some forces still inbound from Insectoid, but looks like most of those have been dealt with. T2 units now online for Little. He has T3 air as well online, so he has T2 land, T3 air, and he's producing some Sparkies, it looks like. Yeah, that definitely looks like the Sparky engineer icon, so lovely to see those coming online. Team 2, again, they've taken essentially the entire middle of the map here. Look at this. Map control for Team 2 is just skyrocketing. They're actually probably sitting on almost 60% of the map. Team 1 is being pushed back in every avenue. There's really no, Team 2 is winning the left side, Team 1's winning the west side kind of thing. There's really just Team 2 is pushing everywhere, which is giving them a huge buffer zone to get more T2 mexes online and even T3 mexes in the back to, again, fuel their ecos. Currently sitting at eco situation, Team 2 410, Team 1 310 to make the math easy, so about 100 mass more per second for Team 1. It does look like Useless Goddess has gotten some more units online. And mainly, Yoji's just sending out engineers. He's perfectly fine tanking up in this base. Looks like he's actually moved from... Well, maybe he got rid of that missile. Well, is that still over there? No, it looks like he got rid of that missile launcher, or it was taken out, or one or the other. But he's moved up nonetheless. Psychoad slowly pushing in with the assistance of Pony. We do see that it's starting to have some effect now on this northern side. 2v1 now, especially with the comm with T2 upgrade suite and getting some Utashalas. Looks like it's just enough to break through that northern defenses. A nice little run by happening here for AFK, going all the way around Scorpion. He even had some units stacking up over here. Looks like the goal might be for Little's base. I wouldn't be surprised if he produces a gunship or two to just deal with that very quickly. But those units are inbound. Lovely play. Just a couple of units. And they're going to take out some E-storages as well as probably 2 T2 mixes at a minimum if they get the chance to. But there is a gunship online and probably more on the way. We do see that, again, in the middle of the map and even further beyond westward, Team 2 has pushed in more mexes taken offline, and Team 1 is just hurting for mass. They are keeping it relatively close. It's less than 100 mass per second now because the Team 2 is being inflicted losses to the north. But with Broken Princess on the front line with T2 gun and 1 star veterancy able to hold his own at least for a little bit. A couple of Mongeese stack up though, and Princess is like, no, I'm not, no, stop it. Gets 2 of them with that nice little overcharge. In the south, we do see Scorpion continuing to push southward and trying to reclaim lost territory. But look at this. He's pretty much, not necessarily stuck in his main base, but he's been pushed back severely. Nano Repair coming online here for AFK. He is Seraphim, which means that Nano Repair upgrade can be very, very tanky for him for still sitting on the regular, essentially, gun speed and range upgrades that everybody else in the factions can build. He hasn't gone for advanced range or shields. Lots of TMLs, and they're launching. And are they going for the same target or something else? And they're going up to the T3 air headquarters. This will be a great grab for Team 2 if it does land. Team 2 does not. Oh, they do have T3 air back here as well. So that is the not air player, but the player next to him building missiles. They are going to land. Little is going to move, but that wasn't the target. The headquarters was. Great sniper by Team 2. That is taken offline. More missiles inbound. But again, they're going to probably take out the rest of the, well, at least 1,000 roughly mass of the wrecks there. A couple of Team 1 bombers inbound. Going to take out TMD just to, again, assist with the missile nonsense. Love to see that. And now Little is out of a headquarters. And that's primarily due to the fact that he's just, in the entirety of Team 1, besides the part maybe of the northern section, has been pushed back severely. Here come more missiles, but they're not going to be useful at this point. There's too many TMD builds. Headquarters is going to be upgraded too, but again, that's a huge loss. He was producing some gunships, some T3 ones in fact, He's probably not going to deploy them anytime soon in fear of losing them. A couple of Ilshis try to break through the front lines here for Yoji. Actually, further back here, I should say, not even front lines. They do get a little bit of distance, but not too much. And now we see a ton of Team 1 spam, a couple of T2 units as well for Useless Goddess. That position probably can't handle all that Team 1 support. There's a couple of triads. More Team 1 PD are being produced. There's some back here as well. Looks like all of these units are not going in. They're heading this way. I don't know where they're going. We do see, of course, Insectoid trying to stay roughly in the same spot in terms of vertically as his teammate of Yoji, essentially trying to claim, again, as much as the middle as possible and push in as much. Lots of TMLs and Team D coming online here. It looks like no, that's a PD emplacement. No, it's not a TML. Regen Aura has been built for AFK, so he has Nano and Regen on board. Will he go for the advanced of either? Maybe, maybe not, but still, that does give him 14,000 hit points and 80 hit points a second regen. We see in the north, Psychoad continuing to just bombard the northern side. We are approaching the 20-minute mark, and to be fair, nobody has died as of yet, which is definitely a sight for sore eyes. Sometimes it happens where 3 players die within 10 minutes, and some players don't die until they evac or win the game. It's just kind of how it works. A couple of ASF escorting a couple of gunships up here. Some T2, also some T3. I don't know what they're going for, but it looks like they're going to try to hook around the northern side. There are some interceptors moving into, well, intercept. Those ASFs will be able to deal with most of them very quickly, but a couple of those T2 gunships are not going to fare well with the initial volley, and there's just so many interceptors they'll get. Looks like all of the T2 gunships. The T3 should be fine, though. Where are the ASFs from Team 2 Southern Player? Looks like there's really none online that I see from AFK. And a huge land fight. I can't even zoom in that much. It's just hard to look at. We do see Insectoid and now almost at 2-star veterancy. And a lot of this is just going to be reclaim and veterancy for him. Yeah, he's being blitzed down by all those units, but he has a lot of T2 support, has a nice little T2 PD that isn't even firing at anything at this point. And he's perfectly fine, overcharging where he can, gets double and triple kills there. There's not really a lot of T2 support in this mix, so he might even drop to the yellow, but that's going to be about it. Yoji pushing in, though, with the power vacuum created by the departure of Useless's forces. And this is going to be a very bad thing for Little. He just got his headquarters back. He's getting reinforcements from the south from Scorpion. And now we see, of course, Useless trying to have as much stuff online and sending it whatever he can southward to intercept. There are some Percys online for Yoji as well. Those gunships still over here. There's actually one. Looks like the other one either died or vacated or both. And we see the Titans getting into the mexes here for Little. He's losing a couple of T2s. I think he'll keep the T3 mex. He'll probably lose this T2 one. There's a lot of T1 PD that is being spammed up. Looks like he does save that T2 mex. And a lot of that actually gets destroyed very, very quickly. But we have more units to the south, and more T1 PD has been spammed up. There is a Harbinger underneath a couple of Asylums, but it should be fine. Well, I say that, and the shield goes down. Looks like it's close, but there's more PD built. Shield's going to be built. These pillars coming in, providing a nice little distraction. Spy plane on the ground. That doesn't actually die. And another attack inbound from Yoji, possibly, but it looks like he's going to maybe not engage. He's lost a lot of forces here. He took the opportunity when he could. He took out a couple of mexes, but not as much as he probably really wanted to. Probably wanted that group of T3 mexes at a minimum. We see another T3 mex being upgraded. He probably did the Control K reclaim and then build method instead of the upgrade method. Totally fine. I don't have the APM to do that, so I usually just stick with the upgrade, but I think it's all about how fast you can build the T3 mex from the T2. If you can build it, I think it's within a minute or something, that it's way more efficient than if you just upgraded it, kind of thing. I know at one point saw some sheet about like mex times or whatever, like, in terms of how long they take in order to recoup the cost, essentially. and that sort of strategy. I just forget where I saw it and where I heard it, whether the case happened with that. In the middle, still Yoji pushing on useless Goddess's position. Man. We have some T2PD just hanging out up here, singeing a couple of these Lobos. And of course, this is the downside, or the, not say the downside, this is the disadvantage of the Percy being essentially a single shot rifle, is when you have 30 units swarming you. Yeah, you can take out one very easily, but the other 29 of them are going to cause some havoc. That gunship is just being shot at by interceptors. Love how there's just a transport up there doing whatever it's doing. We do see the position for Little Sid Little. It's starting to die out due to all these Vipers. And of course, the Vipers for the Siren faction, their missiles can split. So it makes things very annoying to deal with. Even if you have TMD, you really need the Volcanoes, and that's really where you can essentially grab that one missile and be done with it. But we do have some Percys coming in to try to save this position. We do see Insectoid. He's doing very well. Just he's not pushing terribly. I think that other attack wasn't as, I wouldn't say not as effective, but he just a little bit more of a risk than he probably needed to. But he is holding back with his comm. He is at 2-star veterancy though, so he's doing really well. And he also had stealth, so a little bit harder to detect. Yoji has fallen back to his base, doesn't want to get sniped. We do see Broken Princess. Looks like he's started to head back, especially with the pressure from the north. We see Furfur's back behind friendly lines. AFK is the furthest west comm for Team 2, and it looks like Psychoed is the furthest east comm for Team 1. With Little Little still not leaving his base at all, and Pony's in his main base up to the north as well. Maybe we'll see AFK use his comm more aggressively with the Advanced Nano Advanced Regen Aura. That is, of course, a use case for that, being on the front line, being the commander. Overcharge coming in takes out that pillar, but I mean, there's a couple of Ilshis in this mix. If all these pillars come into range, I think that's a dead comm, but a lot of them sitting out of range, so it's essentially just going one by one, which is definitely not what you want to do in a situation where you're facing off against 98 hit points a second, regen plus 18,000 hit points. So definitely not the best situation. But now we see Team 2's Insectoid is in retreat at the same time that Yoji's pushing into the north, or from the north. Lots of Percys coming online here for him as well, ripping apart the main production facilities for Goddess. Goddess getting a Monkey Lord online, which is already half done, so trying to fight back in that regard. Again, against Percys isn't the best, but if you can take them out when they're in low numbers, it will work out. Looks like those pillars do flee. But Team 2 has probably 75% of the south, and about probably 65, especially with the middle kind of dying down, maybe 60% of the middle now. Lots of flak online. Gunship targeting the skyboxers here, but that gunship is losing hit points decently quickly, and most of those forces have now retreated from Insectoid's position. Looks like these forces are just going to hold out, maybe kill off a gunship, maybe not, and the Percys are going to retreat. Some of them will make it back to friendly territory, but I highly doubt all of them will. ASFs are inbound, probably going to go after those two gunships and call it a day there. And surprisingly enough, even with the advantage that Team 2 had for a while with Little Little's headquarters going offline, there isn't that much air online. I mean, I do see another headquarters here for Furfur, but still, you would think there'd be a lot more air. There are ASFs and spy planes and whatnot stacking up down here, but not as many as you would imagine. At least I would imagine, that I've seen in most games. Team 1, do you have another air player stacked up somewhere? No. We do see a bunch of mech marines up there for some reason. Possibly a run-by attempt. Yoji taking out the facility. And again, he's falling back, so he's causing some losses to occur here for Goddess, but not wanting to stay there. He wants to fall back, so he's going to keep his units online, build up more of them, and send in another attack, because Little Sid Little and Pony have sent forces down here. That alleviates a little bit of pressure from the north and from the middle side of things. It's definitely a very smart play to just attack, retreat, attack, retreat, attack, retreat. Yeah, you don't keep the mass from the units that you kill or you lost, but if you can do enough economic or infrastructure damage, it won't even really matter. Monkey Lord coming in. It is happy time. Happy. Is that time or Timmel? Maybe that's Timmel. It looks like time. And that little group of Percys is probably not going to feel good after this Monkey Lord comes in, especially supported by other Percys. Not a great day Monkey Lord definitely needs some AA. The ASFs from Little should be enough to deal with that. But only a couple of gunships is definitely not enough. We have a couple of artillery pieces and some spearheads up here. Spearheads trying to pierce the shielding. The shield is staying online for now. There are some TMD doing a pretty good job of taking out most of those missiles that come in. T2PD going to be spammed up, but the T4 experimental bots like, nah, I'm not going to worry about it. T1PD being dealt with. More gunships looks like coming online. There's not a lot of AA or air here. There we go. Man, I don't know why that was so hard to say. Man. This will be a huge, huge win here for Team 1. At least pushing Team 2 back a little bit. The Monkey Lord dropping into the high reds, though, definitely not good. Needs to pull that back. It's going to be a lot of mass donated, and it's probably too late at this point. Team 1 bombers inbound, going to essentially cement that. Gets her rank in veterancy at the last second, though. So it saves itself from death there. Nice little parashield coming in. Actually, no, it's a T3 shield. I forget. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that. ASF over top, taking out the rest of those bombers. Oh, there it goes. It does get taken out, but it's a little bit further back. But still, definitely should have brought that back to base sooner. That also was assisted by Psycho Ad's forces as well. So nice little collection of forces there. Lots of spam inbound from Insectoid. Scorpion's like dodge, 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 dodge. But it looks like he's dealt with that quite nicely. They're kind of just boxed in between all of these forces from Team 1. 26 minutes on the clock here. Team 1 has not lost a player. Team 2 has also not lost a player. Team 2, mass income 1.3. Team 1, 1.2. So again, still keeping in lock and step with one another. We might see a game where no one dies before 30 minutes, which would be very nice to see, especially with players lower ranking and higher rating. I mean, it's a huge discrepancy technically between 2,300 and 800. That's 1,500 points of rating. It's essentially, that's Broken Princess's rating right there. That is the discrepancy between the highest and the lowest in the game. So it's very interesting to see that no one has died. There's been some close calls, for sure, but it's done a very good job. And we do see Psycho and Pony saying, hey, there's no AA here. We do see a chicken inbound. Now, the flak on board the chicken actually is good enough to deal with Team 1 bombers. Not a horde of them, just, some of them. You can see the shots trying to hit, but it's not as great, especially with these bombers kind of all just everywhere. There's not a collection of them running in at the same time. We do see some lightning tanks inbound, though. It looks like Psycho Ad is remaining that no AA scenario. And again, with 2 air facilities online, I'm surprised there's not more ASFs. And Los Little was able to operate with very few of them. Team 2 is sitting at 50 ASFs in the AFK department, and then I don't see anything much for Fur is producing Coronas, at least I thought he was, but he is starting to produce a Colossus. He does have another one online already, and AFK might be gifted that over. But we do see that Percy's are inbound for that comm. It looks like the first kill of the game might just occur here. Shields are going to start to fall here pretty shortly as the Percys strike the shield in place, but there it goes. If the Percys were to just focus fire on the comm, he would be probably dead or close to dead at this point. Colossus is coming into range, though. He might be saved by it. Percy just gets ripped through all of the base here for AFK, and that Percy group is not going to be enough to pierce that. If it was just AFK, I don't know if it would have been enough, but I think had the Percys focused fire on AFK, he might have been dead. Not saying he would have been dead, but he might have been dead. There was just a lot of shots coming in all the time. Look at this devoid middle of the map here. It's definitely a different game. Not as much air as you would expect. Not as much pressure, especially in certain areas of the map. There was a little bit of that. But it looks like Psycho Ad is going to send most of his forces southward, essentially just ignoring the northeast. So Princess is definitely relieved about that, not having to have as much pressure on them the entire game. But the chicken is getting into Yoji's base. This will be very deadly. Even if it just walks into the base, that'll be enough to knock out a chunk of Yoji's eco. And he's not even the player producing the most mass for his team. It's his teammate of Furfur, who's at almost 400. We do see Yoji's... Is that power related? Probably. That is probably power related. That chicken actually is going to go north, though. So no, Broken Princess is not going to get a little bit of respite. That chicken's going to, oh, well, it's going to sit there now. Looks like it's going to wait for the Perseus and the Othams to go in first. There are a decent clump of Ravagers down here and Team 1 Bombers approaching all the time. There's not, again, that much AA, but the flak is actually able to be very effective here since the Bombers group up. Look at that, just a clump of them taken out. We have some not great engagements on either side just due to the fact there's this tiny little mountain here causing some, not to say pathfinding issues, but some line of sight issues. The chicken does not go for Yoji's base. It does go for Broken Princess's base. It might be an attempt to collapse the northeastern side and then just continue southward, which is definitely a valid attempt, but maybe going after Yoji would have been a little bit better. It just depends on the strategy coming out from Psychoid. If he has another chicken stacked up, which he does, then he can send that northward and essentially finish the job if this one doesn't. So, in that aspect, it's kind of more of a catch-22 of what do you go for. The chicken is just going to be more than happy taking out the everything that's nearby. There goes the headquarters pretty soon. The Pigeon is gone. There's the T2 air headquarters over there. That'd be kind of nice to grab. Another T3 mech going down. Another T3 mech is going to go down. Almost 5-star veterancy for that chicken. And there it goes. It is defeated. It took a lot of effort from Team 2. And another chicken is inbound. We could see the first departure. Princess is over here. Lots of Titans. No Perseus. Very unfortunate there. And now Perseus moving in from that position as well. And Psycho Ad sends a couple of forces down south just to protect. Looks like still haven't recovered too much from an attack earlier on. Lots of forces in the middle for Useless Goddess. And they're all named still, so it's kind of hard to zoom in and look at them all. But that chicken is in range of the comm. Princess is going to be the first departure of the game, but it is past 30 minutes, so there it goes. And it looks like actually Pony will steal the kill from that chicken. Let's see if I'm right. Yep, I was right. The Perseus hit the last shot, hit the last nail on the head. And now we see Yoji is in control of the northeastern corner. But pretty much not for long. This is a huge win for Team 1. They needed something this badly. Team 1, of course, not only producing the most mass in the game so far, 1.5k, but now with an advantage of 5v4 and an entire flank demolished. It's not looking good for this northeastern corner. So if we're rooting for Team 2, it's still possible to win, but it's not looking super good, at least as of 32 minutes. Again, still can't zoom into that just because of the nonsense with the naming scheme. Tsar is under construction, so switching from Colossi to Tsars, so air power. Team 1 does have a decent amount of air. Team 2 looks like they still have more, though, but I still would have expected to see a lot more. We do see air expansion going on. It looks like it's a little bit... Okay, well, I mean, it does kind of make sense why it's not as much, because a nuke is being built. It's going to be loaded, or started loaded here shortly, but there it is. The Hastue T3 strategic missile launcher. And I think it has the best animation for launching the nuke. It like opens kind of like a crab shell or like a clam or something. It opens up and then it fires through. It's really cool. I really like the design of that. Most of them, it's just a silo. The slot kind of opens up. And there's a little bit of other animations. I think the Apocalypse has like other supporting arms that come out. I think the cyber, maybe that's the cyber one I'm thinking of. But I think the nuke for the UAF is probably the most boring to watch at launch, just because it's just a silo that opens and it fires. It's not as entertaining in that way, but again, it's called the Stone Ager for a reason. So, what it lacks in presentation, it makes up for it in power, because well, it's a nuke. We do have the first major air fight of the game. Oh, no, we don't. No. It's like a will they, won't they? Just make the decision and stick with it. We do see that it's going to favor Team 2. It looked like it was going to be a huge upset, but either player just doesn't want to come in, which is very weird. We had a couple of gunships trying to run by. They're going to go after the comm of Yoji. It looks like Yoji's going to get out of there and be safe. The gunships are being just railed by flak and other air units nearby, and some ASS from Yoji as well. So it's just a really weird will they, won't they scenario. Chicken is staying out of most of weapons range, but there are a couple of Ravagers just ripping its hit points apart. We do see another explosion to the west, and it is a donut, and it went after Little Said Little's comm. Great snipe here by Fur, and he's going after the air good as well, so even if the donut drops, is a huge loss for Team 1. Oh, that's gonna... Oh, actually, it's... Oh, it's... Oh. It doesn't drop on top of the base, but the PDO down, so that's something. Oh, that is, yeah, that's not great for Team 1. Losing their highest rated player, that is not great. Chicken still being fired upon, but at this point it's lost too many hit points. It's not going to do a lot of damage with that Ion Storm. It should have been walking sooner than that, but yeah, that is the one downside, is you don't want to just throw your chicken in and not do as much damage as you can. However, if you don't send it in soon enough, it's not really going to matter because it's, again, it's outside of effective range, so it's kind of just doing nothing. Psychoad, of course, gains all the mass that Little was producing. So he's sitting at 840 mass per second. So he's probably, yep, he's going to just pump out chickens at this point. He has another one just freshly minted. Yoji builds another experimental. Looks like it's, I don't know if that's the new Fat Boy. It possibly is. I don't see where else he would build it. But again, look at this. Team 1 has control of almost 50% of the the northern half of the map. That is very, very big here. An entire base, player's base of eco is gone for Team 2. And now we have a Colossus being just rampaged by Othams, and there's no Percy's in this mix, but Bricks as well. And it's actually staying alive as longer than I thought it would, but it does get taken out, and it will crush this last remaining brick that decided to just stand there and receive death. There was a glitch at one period of time, and there is a video that I have that shows it. It's probably almost a year or so now, where it used to be if a unit was grabbed by the Colossus and it didn't die before the Colossus died, it would be essentially invulnerable. It'd be unkillable. But in that game specifically, it's pointed out by essentially the opposing team, hey, this unit should have died essentially 4 or 5 times over by now. Can you control K? And the player's like, oh yeah, I can do that. That's fine. I didn't even notice. I apologize. So it was really nice to see that. Like, he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. He's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. That's not fair. That's not how the game should operate. And he fixes it. I do love that. Willing to stick to essentially the nice camaraderie and sportsmanlike of the game. So I really do appreciate seeing that. Anyway, I don't remember what game it was. I kind of remember what the map looked like a little bit, but it's been so long since I casted that game. I cannot remember what I titled it or anything. It's one of the earlier ones. I think it's 150, something like that. Again, it could be completely wrong. Another Percy attempt, another donut. And it's only going to go one way. AFK has advanced nano and advanced regen, so 52,000 hit points, 270 hit points a second regen. Yeah, that's not, that group of Percys is not going to be enough. Make AA, says Little C's trying to help out his team, says, hey, just build more AA. That donut is inbound. The ASF, of course, trying to clear the way, but to be fair, there has been a lot of mobile AA built. Looks like the donut's going to go after the chickens, and that nuke, oh no, Team 1 built a nuke up here to the north. Yeah, see, it's just a little bit of a silo opening, and that's it. There's really like nothing fancy about it. And it's going for Yoji's base. There's a nuke here. That's in range. Ooh, Team 2, of course, has the other nuke down here. But that's half loaded. There is not an... Oh, there's an SMD over there. It is not loaded. Looks like they think it's going to be theirs. Or it's going to be pinpointed there, but it's not. Yoji is very probably annoyed that that nuke's going for him. Donut over top once again. And it's going to take out the SMD with the crash damage, but we got to go over to the nuke. Here it comes. Boom! And yes, it barely clips the nuke there as I watch my mic peak for a little bit as I say that. That's a great first nuke here of the game. And new SMD says a little, hey, you're missing an SMD essentially. 88,000 mass, so 90,000 mass essentially killed with that nuke. Very, very good one. Let's see if Team 2 can replicate the success. There is a SMD, of course, offline. There is a new one right here. The air good would be a good target. There's another nuke online for Team 1's Useless Goddess up here to the north. It's actually UEF. Surprisingly enough, not Cybrin. Another I think a crab ended up being destroyed. But there's another nuke over here that was just hanging out with no protection, no shield, no nothing. And Team 2 takes it out. So great grab there. I just don't know why it was sitting there unguarded. Not even with one shield, which is very weird. Yeah, shield says little, hey, you got to build shields. But this game is now shifted to a, again, 4v4 game here. 39 minutes on the clock. We had Yoji who built a nuke but wasn't able to launch it in time. We have AFK who built a nuke and is about to launch one. Pony has built a nuke and launched one. Goddess has built a nuke and is halfway to launching one. And then we had Psychoad build one, not able to launch anything, but still built it. So 5 nukes, essentially nuke launchers. That's a lot of nukes. That's half the player base, essentially. We have restorers. There they are. I was expecting to see them at some point. The best AA gunship in the game. I think one of the old... Well, the Whalers have AA on board, but they're literally called AA gunships, so they do their job well. I can't guarantee it, but somebody else can. A reference to a movie, if anybody knows what reference that is. A lot of my references revolve around Star Wars, so that kind of gives you a hint on at least the franchise, but somebody's going to know what it's from. It's a modified... It's not the exact line from the movie. It's a little bit modified. So, but it's close enough. And I can even remember the scene when it's from and whatnot. And can picture it in my head right now. Anyway, Fat Port coming online very quickly here for Psychoad. That's not going to help with a donut, though. So, Nuke is launching. Where is it going? It's from Team 2. It's going for this position. And a nuke is about to load. Is there an SMD on the way? There's not. Very unfortunate. There was not an SMD loaded in any of these ones as well, which means that would have been a free nuke on that air grid. Got to launch that nuke immediately at this point. And it looks like it is going to launch immediately. It's going to try to go after the other nuke, but the SMD is going to shoot it out of the sky. But it is, again, it's going to take it. Oh, no, the SMD isn't loaded. Oh, it's going to be close. You got to fire it. There's also a satellite. You got to fire it immediately. There it goes. There it is. Oh, that was very, very close. Kaboom! Got out of there at the last moment. Satellite's gone. Nuke is gone. I warned about a nuke 15 minutes. Why you ruin? There is, again, there's an SMD here. It's going to be close. There is an SMD here. That's not loaded. Oh, it's going to be close. But it's not being loaded quick enough. Oh, it's going to be a great nuke. Oh, it's going to land short. No, I thought it was going further deep. And it hits the donuts. It hits the donuts and crash lands on top of everything else. Oh, that's a missed opportunity to go for that nuke launcher, though. But that was really cool to see that. Wow, look at that. Furfur's like, hey, there's a nuke there. And there's another nuke inbound from Team 1, but there's that SMD is going to... Oh, no, it might not load in time. What's AFK's power looking like? I mean, he looks like he's fine, but he's really hurting en masse. I do hear some fighting over to the north, but again, it's that situation where Yoji is now the eastern flank. He's able to get some engineers out. SMD, I mean, it's not loaded. And it just... Oh, that SMD is going to be close. Oh, it's going to be close. No, it's just a little bit too late on the draw. And it will actually clip this air grid as well. So great placement here by Pony. Kaboom! Great, great placement. Doesn't take out the headquarters, but again takes out a chunk of the air grid as well. So that will alleviate a little bit of pressure from the air side of things. Still in the east, more chickens, more chickens, more chickens, more chickens, and more chickens. Lots of Ravagers built. And I think at this point it's starting to get, not necessarily a critical mass of Ravagers, but it's just one of those things where chickens might not be as effective unless you send 8 of them in at the same time. I wish I could see the mass kill with that nuke, though. That was definitely unfortunate. We do see Goddess is actually up here getting an upgrade. Looks like it's arm, so maybe T3 engineering suite, most likely. Maybe a gun. Maybe, no, that's his gun arm. So yeah, maybe he's going for gun. Anyway, 170,000 mass. So 2 nukes. That's 85,000 mass. That's really, really, really good averages for those 2 nukes. There are a lot of strat bombers over here. 11 of them to be exact. So almost a squadron. I wonder what are they going to try to go all the way around and snipe the nuke? That could be... there is not a lot of AA, but they were going to be spotted. There's not enough shielding to protect that nuke, though. And there is a satellite. Why are there satellites next to nukes? I feel like the especially next to a PGen, like that doesn't do anything. Then there's a ping warning. Oh, looks like the strat bombers are going back, maybe. Oh yeah, the ASS from Team 1 definitely spotted that, and they're like, no, we're not. Nuh-uh. The game has definitely slowed down a decent amount. The nukes kind of just set everything ablaze. Insectoid running away from a chicken. There's Percy's inbound. Essentially, they're going to probably cut off any sort of reinforcements from the north. And that chicken's going to go straight for that crab, which the crab probably will finish, to be fair. Oh, the PGen situation, that's not going to help anything. But there's a lot of engineers here still. It's going to be close, but like I said, even if the crab does get finished, the Ion Storm, if it dies right here, is just going to kill it off. As engineers are trying to finish it. Lots of strat bombers over the top here from AFK, and a donut as well. That chicken's just going to sacrifice itself. This little air grid is gone as well. But it's not... Yeah, it's not a great day here for that crab. It might even finish and immediately die. Oh, that's so unfortunate here for Insectoid. It's literally just lasering it to death. Oh, it's essentially an experimental for free at that point, because it was pretty much built. But there are 3 chickens, 1 fat boy, and a partridge in a pear tree. Oh, that just watching those donuts get killed up by a nuke is just amazing. We do see an SMD is going to be able to bat away this nuke, and this SMD finally loads. I feel like that one was loaded before, but maybe some nukes fired off that I didn't notice. And again, it's another one from Pony. So again, Pony's just going to sit behind Psychoad and just nuke, which is definitely a strategy. Team 2 can easily counter it with more SMD, which they're going to do right this second. But there are 3 chickens inbound. There's not a lot of ground support. Not even a Colossus I see. And had the attack from Psycho had been maybe a minute sooner, that nuke would have actually gone through. But of course, this nuke would have been shot down anyway by that SMD. Yoji is hanging out over here with some strat bombers. Definitely a good place to sit. Definitely wants some shielding, though, for that comp. It looks like another donut was killed off. A lot of ground units looks like didn't feel good after that. But they did help take it out nonetheless. It was looking like Team 2 was going to just steamroll Team 1 at this point, but man, that northeastern side going down really changed the game up. Essentially, it turned from a west to east to a northwest to southeast. Essentially meaning this is the most protected position for Team 1. This is the most protection for Team 2. And both of them have nukes. This one, actually, no, this one lost his nuke, actually. So Team 1 is the only one with a nuke. And the donut over top is going to die by flak and other things. It's going to crash land on top of a chicken. That's not going to feel good, but should be fine. Looks like those chickens are going straight for this position. Satellite going to be pinging that SMD. It could be death by nukes if that nuke loads in time. And it does. And looks like Team 2's Furfur control Ks, leaving this now a 4v3 game. AFK going to retreat. Again, he does have 270 hit points a second region plus 52,000 hit points. Just upgraded to it. Crazy how many hit points he can have. 3 chickens versus 1. That's obviously only going to go one way. Nice shield, though. Protects him just for a little bit longer. And Yoji control K is up here to the east, so now it's going to be a 4v2. It's a 2-to-1 advantage for Team 1, with Insectoid and AFK being the last surviving players of Team 2. AFK, it does drop into the yellow. The Iron Storm activates right in front of all these engineers. I think AFK, he stopped moving. He kind of know. Oh, no, he's going to keep going a little bit. He probably just doesn't want to die by Ion Storm. This satellite in chicken is going to kill him. Will the satellite kill him? I think the satellite got him. But I think that's the second kill. No, Psychoad did get it. Okay, I was going to say that's the second kill that Pony stole from Psychoad. But now AFK is gone. It's just Insectoid remaining. And that's a 4-to-1 advantage. That is huge. That is very, very big. And GG says Insectoid, so he might just control K or dip out and call it a day. Strat Bomber's trying to prevent the last, or a couple of chickens from moving into this position. But again, there's not that much remaining down here. Was that an artillery piece? Who shot that? You shot that. Look at that. Nice little Hubbatham up there to the north. And the chicken trying to dodge strat bombs, which it can try to do that. And another nuke launches. Looks like it's going for this position. There is an SMD in that base, but it's not loaded. There's nothing else loaded here for Team 2, so that's going to be a dead base. And that will probably just be game right there. That's the last main base. Because this one's gone. You know, these are nice little fire bases, PD defenses, but nothing really concrete in terms of mass. There is some mexes down here, though, but that FAF boy might be going down there here in a moment. Artillery raining in, trying to target that SMD. The SMD looks like it actually might get taken out before the nuke comes in, and it'll just headshot that Ravager. Kaboom! There goes that base. More mechs is taken offline. Team 1 now at a 2.5 to 1 advantage for mass income. So at that point, there's really nothing that Insectoid can do, especially with this chicken force and Fat Boy moving in. No shield, though, for Psychoad, which very strange, because that means he doesn't have enough. Oh, yeah, needs to. That's a lot of negative power. I don't know what he's building, but that's a lot of negative power. Is he trying to build a YOLO or something? Please don't. Oh, yep, there it is. Yep, I figured as much. I was like, he's doing something that's cost a lot of mass. Psycho did a very good job. Just spam chicken. I mean, if it works, don't break it. That's why one of the chickens are probably one of the best land experimentals, just because you have the chicken, and then you have the ion storm that spawns from said chicken. So you essentially can just kamikaze and just do, not double damage, but a lot of damage. Insectoid is going to die by chicken. Oh, he's not going to die by nuke. That's unfortunate. But there he goes. He will die in explosion, though. That's something. Team 1 wins the game. 49 minutes, almost 50 minutes on the dot. And MVP for me, It is a tough decision between Psychoad, who did a very, very good job on the land side of things, and Pony, who did a very good job, but essentially with a game ender at this point. I mean, how much mass did it? Oh, yeah, that 261,000 mass. He killed more mass than a game ender's worth. I'd say that's not a game ender, but it's game ender, adjacent. So it is a hard decision between the two. I think I might just give it to Pony, because those nukes, that was huge. It was very, very big for taking out base after base after base. I think eventually the chickens would have just steamrolled Team 2 anyways, but the nukes coming in, essentially wiping out 2 to 3 positions, really cemented Team 1's lead in terms of power and mass and all of that, and really just drove the point home. I mean, Furfur control Cade, Yoji I think control Cade. They were like, we can see the match is over, we're done. And AFK went down. I mean, when he was going to face down those chickens, he was going to die anyways at that point. So realistically, that was the straw that broke the camel's back with the nuke. So I'm just going to give Pony the MVP for this award. Some people might say Psycho, which I can see where they're coming from that, because that was the flip side was the land pressure was very good, especially when they took this northern section. It was just not great for Team 2, because again, once that flank died, Yoji is, of course, expending mass and energy and focus and APM and whatnot, dealing with the north and dealing with the west instead of just the west. But again, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you are at the end of the video, still listening at this point, I think the thumbnail I'm going to pick for this video is going to be the nuke striking those donuts. So when you see that, I mean, you'll see it before you watch the end of the video, but I just make a point that that's probably what I'm going to use for the thumbnail. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see all of you in the next one.